Good morning, everybody. My name is Sam Robb. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Proud to have another Pennsylvanian up here. If you know anything about Pittsburgh, we are just north of where the Whiskey Rebellion happened. We're also the birthplace of the Republican Party. So we have a habit of when the government we don't like what the government's doing, we try and change it. So I'm running for president in 2020 because I want to change the way that our country is going. I think whether you are a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you are an anarchist, a minarchist, or whatever you want to call yourself, we can all agree that the government, right now, the federal government is not where we want it to be. As a matter of fact, it is so far away from where anybody would want it to be that we can actually get together, and even though we might disagree on where we would end up, we all know that this is not the direction that we want to be going. It's time for us to make a change. We need someone in leadership who's willing to make those changes, regardless of the pushback that they're going to get from Congress, regardless of the pushback they're going to get from entrenched interests, regardless of who is going to oppose them, someone with the will to get in and make changes. I believe I'm that person, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to turn this country around and change the direction that we're going in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. The question is going to go to everybody. I would like you to take turns describing the largest organization that you have ever run and what you learned from running that organization.
I spent some time in the United States Navy. I was a division officer, had between 40 and 60 men and several tens of millions of dollars worth of equipment that I was responsible for. I've served on the board of directors at Meckling-Shapley Veterans Center up in Collinsville, Pennsylvania. Again, we're responsible for about 60 beds there, 60 veterans, some permanent residents, and several $1 million budget. And finally, I also have taught second grade boys Sunday school, which I believe uniquely qualifies me to deal with Congress.
Democrats have claimed they own the word intersectionality. I believe that libertarians have a stronger claim to that word because every one of us has been put upon by government, and that is a unifying thing that we have with the electorate.
I have 3 adopted girls. They were all born in China, so I have firsthand experience dealing with the INS, which is not fun. Even though we have what is supposedly a very good local agency in Pittsburgh, it still is not a happy experience dealing with people checking you out, making sure that you have all the qualifications needed to be a parent when anybody with a basically functioning body can hook up with another functioning body and make a child. So that was not a happy experience. The other way that the government's really impacted me, and I've become very aware of lately, how many of you are familiar with the phrase nibbled to death by ducks? Right? Pay attention to what you're paying in taxes. Pay attention to the sales tax that you're hitting, the use taxes that you're having to pay, the gas taxes that you're having to pay, the property taxes that you're having to pay. Every one of us is being affected that way by taxes every day, and we don't even know it because it's slipped in under the radar.
Could you describe for me the things that you have done in either your state, county party, or some sort of local libertarian movement?
I've also just recently joined the party proper. I was a registered libertarian for many years before I joined the party. The last year or so, I've gotten active in supporting candidates locally, passing out literature, including for a woman who was a fellow CMU graduate who was running as a Republican, but running to reduce taxes and reduce the size of local government. I believe it's important to reach out to those people who have our message, even if they don't share the same party affiliation. And actually, getting involved here as part of the presidential campaign for me has been very significant. As a Christian and as a pro-life candidate, I am surprised and shocked at the number of people who have approached me and said, you know, I've always been interested in the libertarians, but I didn't think you could be religious and be a libertarian. I didn't think that you could have a pro-life position and be a libertarian. So just being up here and being someone showing them that that's possible is opening doors and hopefully will result in people joining the party.
Can you describe to me what Libertarian Unity looks like and what you will do to help achieve that?
Within the Libertarian Party, we have an issue where we have a lot of people arguing over where we're going to end up and how things are going to look when everything's finally said and done. But nobody's moving. One of the things that we need to do as a party and as Libertarian Party members is talk about how we're going to get things moving. We can figure out the destination when we get closer. But right now, there are big changes that we can make that everybody would be happy with. Whether you're an anarchist, whether you're a minarchist, whether you are for states' rights, or whether you believe that even states should be abolished, we can all start moving in that direction. This is a time for us to do that. Speaking to the larger issue of unity across parties, if you look at the last election, the number of registered libertarians voting for Gary Johnson was about 2% to 3% of his total votes. That meant that somewhere like 97% of the votes that came to him were from members outside of the Libertarian Party. We need to expand on that. We need to reach out to people and communicate with them in terms that they understand, to show them that liberty is the solution to their problems.
All right, and so my question is, I'm going to read a little bit from the platform, and then I'll ask you all to discuss it. In 3.4, free trade and migration, it says, economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. Would you please address this?
Absolutely, we should be able to trade freely, and other countries should be able to trade freely with the United States and with the people here. I do believe that there is a role in the international stage for economic sanctions, primarily in that case responding in tit-for-tat fashion. If somebody wishes to try to harm us by imposing sanctions on us, I think it's entirely reasonable to respond. Actually, game theory tells us that that is the best way to get people to come to agreement when you're dealing with those situations. Dealing with the movement of people, with free immigration. I love Max's point about re-legalization, because that applies to immigration as well. There used to be a time when anybody who came to the United States could come here. That was the Ellis Island model. They could come here, they could live, they could work. We asked them to do a couple of things before they came in. To document that they were here, to go through a medical check to make sure that they weren't bringing any communicable diseases, and to make sure that they had a place to stay, that they had a job lined up, that they knew what they were doing. That seems entirely reasonable to me, and it's not hampering the flow of people. It's simply making sure that we are taking care of the people that are coming here.
So, through the magic of my powers as executive director, I have transformed this room into a room filled with Democrats. Please, each candidate, give me your best pitch to a Democrat on how you can get them to vote for you as a libertarian.
The very first thing I'd like to ask you is, I want you to think back to the last interaction you had with a government service, a government agency. For me, that would be going to get a new Social Security card. And let me tell you, that was not a pleasant process. It was not happy. And here's the thing I want you to focus on. There's no government agency that is different from that. All of them have their problems. All of them have their petty bureaucracies. All of them have grown beyond the point where they do what they are supposed to do and instead do what they want to do. As Democrats, your party is one that encourages compassion, encourages reaching out to others, encourages people to take care of others. What you have right now is a government that no longer helps you do that but gets in the way. It's time for us to get the government out of the way of you being able to help the people in your community, of being able to help the people in your local area the way that you know that they need to be helped. Thank you all for being here. As I mentioned before, my name is Sam Robb. You can find out more about me at samrobb2020.com. And just in closing, I'd like to remind you that the problem that we have is that we're headed in the wrong direction. We know it. The people out there in the country know it right now. And the message we need to bring to them is that when things aren't working, when things are going wrong, you don't double down and keep doing what you're doing. You find a different way of doing things. And that's what the Libertarian Party represents. We are the new message. We are the new way of conducting business. We are the way of fixing the problems that are out there in the country. We need to get out. We need to let people know. We need smaller government. We need to slash taxes and eliminate taxes. And we need to restore personal liberty to the individual.